We'll start with the reigning AFC East champion, the Buffalo Bills. All right.
All right.
How did they do last year, and what did their offseason look like, Jake?
Yeah, so the Buffalo Bills, they went 13-3 last year. Had a really strong, regular season showing. There's maybe it's one of their strongest in this Josh Allen regime. I think one year they also went 13-3, but ended very disappointingly. Made it to the divisional after, no offense, but they got into a really scrappy fight with the Dolphins, who were starting their third string quarterback or second string quarterback in Skylar Thompson. Escaped that, and then they go to play the Bengals in the game that never was in the regular season, and they just get thumped 27-10. Wasn't even competitive. One of the most anticipated games of the year, and it wasn't even a good one. So the Bills went into the offseason, had a lot of questions. Are they going to be able to retain defense? What's their offense going to look like? They've had a lot of the same problems, and these other problems seem to be growing. Haven't had a run game, no offensive line, or I guess their offensive line finally started to look weak this past year. Defense is older and expensive. Maybe you need to get a little more help for Josh Allen, who is literally your whole offense. And they had an okay offseason. They retained a lot of their defensive talent, so that was really good to see. They did lose Tremaine Edmonds, who signed with the Bears. That was a really big loss for them, but hey, Matt Milano stuck around, Jordan Poyer, Taylor Rapp, Jordan Phillips re-signed, Shaq Lawson re-signed.
Okay.
They brought in Connor McGovern on the offensive line, David Edwards. Their running back room. Latavius Murray signed a one-year deal. Damian Harris signed a one-year deal. Kyle Allen is their backup quarterback now, if you remember Kyle Allen. So Naheem Hines, I think, was supposed to, he
Yeah,
was
he got
projected to have a pretty decent
injured.
role in this offense, and he got injured in a jet ski accident. So they're a little where for worse there. In the draft, in their first round
Dalton
pick, they
Kincaid.
went and got Dalton Kincaid, which I don't think we really got to talk about it because we were off at the time, but I just hated that move. I was such a not fan of that
I
move.
guess it's just another weapon. I've just come to
Yeah,
accept it. It's just another weapon for
yeah.
Josh Allen, I guess.
It's just an excuse. Like, they need to figure out ways to take off of Josh Allen's plate. Reasons, hey, let's run the ball more, let's protect Josh Allen more, and instead they went and found a reason to give him the ball 5 more times a game. And I just was not a fan of that. Even though now we know with the Stephon Diggs drama going on, are they going to move off of him? Maybe this was preparing for that, but I don't think a second tight end is really preparing for that. So I'm not quite sure what they're trying to do there. But yeah, for the Bills, I don't know, Christian, what is your expectations for them? Like, where do the Bills need to go to make this a successful season?
The goal is Super Bowl. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they're setting the goal for themselves as Super Bowl, then it's Super Bowl or bust for them. Yeah, I mean that's it. So it's more than likely they need to have a good season, make the playoffs, maybe win their division, and make a deep playoff run and don't get bounced in the divisional round. Um, Looking to their season, I did take an account of them losing a few players on that defense, and that offense maybe taking a bit of a step back, a little bit there, but. I'm looking at their schedule. I have them going 10-7. Um, I got them some important games. I got them sweeping the Jets. I got them sweeping. I got five. They're going five. I have them going 5-1. Real quick though, for people that watch this, these are just our predictions. We're not saying these are objective. Like, this is what's going to happen. These are just our opinions. So, you know, if you disagree with this, please go down in the comments and talk about your disagreement. But yeah, we're not experts. So yeah, I got them going 5-1 in the division, sweeping the Jets, sweeping the Patriots, and splitting with the Dolphins. Uh, Yeah, and so some games I have them winning and losing. I got them winning week 1 against the Jets on Monday night. They get the win there. At them losing to Jacksonville in London. Got them losing to the Bengals and the Chiefs. Um, got them losing to the Cowboys. We'll see how that one goes. Um, Losing to the Eagles, losing to the Chargers. Uh, and then, but the rest of their schedule is kind of easy. They got the Raiders, the Giants, Tampa Bay. They get Denver at home. Um, Uh, yeah, that's about it. Yeah, 10-7. Making the playoffs. We are not at the point yet where we need to, talk about playoff hopes, but at the moment, 10-7. At the top of their division at the moment with that 5-1 division record. So a step down from their 13-win season, but yeah, still a pretty good season. So 10-7 can, and if you win the division, can get you into the playoffs, and get you a home playoff game. So that's what I got. What do you think the Bills expectations are? What's their ceiling at? Like, how do you think this season's going to go for them?
I have them at 9-8. And
Yeah, this is finally your year to hate
yeah,
on the
I
Bills.
don't hate the Bills. I
Nah, hate's a strong word. Hate's a strong word.
it's
But you
just
have been for the past few years been like, this ain't that year, and then they go and win like 12, 13 games.
last year I did pick them to go to the Super Bowl.
He
Um,
did.
I did.
Oh,
I picked them and
okay.
the Bucks to go to the Super Bowl.
Really?
Yeah, we
You didn't
both.
pick the Chiefs.
No, no. I picked the Chiefs to lose in the divisional to the Chargers, and then the Bills Chargers AFC Championship, and it didn't go very well. But nevertheless, um, I feel like the Bills are suffering from this. I don't know if you call it like amazing quarterback syndrome or great quarterback syndrome, but what you see is these teams that get these really good quarterbacks and they have to pay that quarterback a lot of money. They're not very good at restocking their team with talent because they can't go out in free agency and do it. So pretty much what you got to do is go into the draft and do it. And if you're not hitting on draft picks consistently, your team is going to suffer. And it's really hard to consistently draft well. There's only a handful of teams that really do draft like consistently well. And the Bills, you know, even if a team hits on a draft class 2 or 3 years and it's like, oh my God, this team's awesome. That doesn't mean 3 or 4 years down the road they're going to keep hitting those draft classes. And I feel like the Bills are suffering from that, where it's like they haven't had a run game for years and they haven't really fixed it. And now their offensive line's not good. And now their defense is probably going to start shedding more and more players year after year. And now they're having drama with Stephon Diggs, and they have to figure out a way to keep those weapons, competitive with the rest of a AFC conference that is just bleeding weapons everywhere. I mean, they just have so many weapons all over the map. So I look at the Bills and I think hard schedule. I think definitely a step back. I worry about Josh Allen kind of being the next Cam Newton the way they treat him. And I've said this a lot, where Cam Newton was amazing. And then 3 years later, he was a shell of himself because you can only have that kind of workload for so long. And Josh Allen's been in the league since 2018. I mean, he's going into year 6 or 7 now. So I wonder if 2 or 3 years from now, we're going to start seeing Josh Allen just not be the same quarterback. And I don't know if it'll start this year. I think Josh Allen will be awesome this year. I mean, they just got a tough schedule this year. I mean, I have them going 3-3 in their division. The Dolphins, Patriots, Jets on their schedule. I mean, outside of them, they got to play the Jaguars. They got to play the Giants, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, the Bengals. They got to play the Chargers. I mean, these are all like, I'm not saying they're going to lose all these games. I have them winning a few of these, but there's a lot of tough games on here, and it's not like we haven't seen the Bills lose games that we think they shouldn't lose. I mean, a couple years ago they were 7-6 at one point, and yeah, they turned it around and they ended up winning their last 4 games, I think, and they went 11-6, and it was fine. But like, I mean, they were in position to be like a 9-8, 10-7 team, and it feels like the way this team has been trending over the past couple years, the difficulty of the schedule this year, I'm just not confident in this team, and I have this team missing the playoffs. Yeah, like it boggles my mind. And again, I've talked about this a lot when we've talked about Super Bowl odds. It's crazy to me how people really have this team as the third, fourth, fifth best team or odds to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, this is a top 5 team everywhere, and I'm just like, I don't see how they're a top 5 team at this point. Like, I don't think they have the most talent out of anybody in the league. They have an awesome quarterback, and I feel like that's kind of it. So, yeah, I am not confident about the Bills this year. I think they might be the 7th or 8th best team in the conference now. I mean, Dolphins, I'd take over them. Jaguars, I'd take over them. I'd take the Chiefs over them. I'd take the Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, even the Browns over them. I mean, you could talk Broncos or Chargers, maybe the Jets, but like that's really where I think they're at. That's the tier of teams I think they're in. They're not up there with the Chiefs and the Bengals. I don't even think they're close to those teams at this point. So I got 9-8. I hope people comment and call me crazy, and I might, I've been wrong about them before. I've said they were going to be like an 8-8 team, and they went 13-3. But I'm pretty confident in my Bills pick this year. I really do think they're going to not be a good team.
I am also predicting a little bit of a downfall, but I'm um curious as what do you think about the Josh Allen turnovers? It was kind of an issue this past year. I mean, they did win 13 games, but he did kind of fall off in that back half of that season because, like, at the start of it, he was like, MVP in like was a big MVP candidate there, and then that back half, he had some injuries. I'll give him that. I think it was his elbow or his shoulder or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
So what are you predicting there? You think he's going to be more protective of the football? They're going to protect him more. Like, what are you thinking there?
I think last year was weird because of the injury, but also because it was his first year without Brian Dable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this year is going to be really telling. He has struggled with turnovers, but I don't know. I feel like turnovers to a degree are a little overrated. I feel like
A little bit,
I
yeah.
feel like turnovers like they matter obviously, and you can tell a lot by a team's success based on their turnover differential. Like I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but like turnovers matter when like Daniel Jones is fumbling the ball like 20 times and he's only throwing 10 touchdowns. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like Josh Allen, he can turn the ball over 15 times a season. He's going to get like 37 touchdowns. So like those same thing with Dak. Like everybody talks about Dak's turnovers. Dak went 8-4 as a starter last year. They won 12 games with Dak throwing a bunch of interceptions, and really his interceptions didn't even cost him that many games. So like same thing with Josh Allen. He had 2 turnovers against the Rams in that opening game of the season, and it just didn't even matter. So I just like I think he will be a little better in the turnovers. I think that injury or lack thereof will help, but I just as long as you're scoring a bunch of points, I just don't get overly concerned about turnovers. And especially like the Bills still have a pretty decent defense. Like I think that can also offset some of the mistakes that the offense might make. It allows your offense to be a little more uh, risky, I guess, and play a little more of that kind of high risk, high reward thing. But I'm not too worried about it.